The Pope's Exorcist is a 2023 supernatural horror movie. Directed by Julius Avery and based on Amorth's memoirs, An Exorcist tells his story. It stars Russell Crowe, Daniel Zovatto, and Alex Essoe. The story is about an exorcist named Gabriele Amorth. It follows him as he investigates the possession of an innocent child and as he uncovers a conspiracy the Vatican has kept secret.
There is a case that needs your attention.
Bring me the priest.
So I try to go into movies as open-minded as I can with as little preconceived ideas. Like, I don't try to judge a movie before I've seen it. But if I see a trailer, which in a lot of cases I do see the trailer for these movies, I try now as much as possible to not overwatch the trailers, like maybe watch them once or twice, but try to ignore them for the most part after that, because I don't want to know plot points. But for the most part, I just don't want to judge a movie before I see it. Like, if I know I'm going to see a movie, I try to ignore the trailers for the most part as much as I can. But I'm not going to lie. Going into this, I was just like, I literally was dreading going to see this movie because I just went last night and saw Nefarious, and my review should be posted at the time you're watching this, so definitely go check that out. But I was not impressed with that movie and did definitely not love it. But for the most part, I'm just burned out by these possession, demonic kind of movies. None of them really do anything different. It's just kind of rinse, repeat, do the same thing over and over and over. And people just keep paying to see these, and it's just like, it's like The Conjuring. I loved the first Conjuring, really enjoyed the second one, but then the universe started, and it just has started getting more and more bland, and more played out, more and more pop culture, less and less teeth on it, and it just became boring to me. And I really was just sick and tired of this whole possession kind of genre. So going into this, I was just like, here we go again, because from the trailer, it didn't blow my socks off, not gonna lie. I honestly think, though, that this movie, they did a disservice. They did not show you what this movie really is in that trailer, because this movie is way more zany, way more quirky, way more over the top and exciting than the trailer makes it seem. Because I was absolutely floored by this movie. I had a great time with it. Now, it's not a game changer kind of movie. Nothing about it is meant to be that way, but it's a really great time. I left the movie thinking, this in a lot of ways feels like a superhero kind of movie out of that demonic possession thing. It had a little bit of that Constantine thing going on, especially in the final act. It just completely comes unhinged towards the end, and I was all for it. But a big warning I want to let anybody out there know. I know a lot of people have an issue with seeing animals killed in movies, and granted, it's definitely not real animals in this movie. They're definitely CGI or whatnot. But there are some pretty brutal animal kills, and one right away. And that first one even caught me off guard, because it doesn't really bother me, because I'm like, it's not a real animal, and so it's not dying for the sake of the movie, which I would have an issue with. So I generally am fine with it. But that first one was pretty savage, and it even surprised me a bit. But this movie gets going, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's directed well, but the cinematography is what really jumps out. The setting, the sets, the costume designs, just everything about the way this movie looks, the pacing of it, the way the camera angles are done, the lighting, just absolutely phenomenally gorgeous movie, well produced in every way, and you can just see that from the jump. Nothing feels rushed, everything feels edited well and smooth, and pretty quickly on you start to realize that Russell Crowe, who's playing the Pope's Exorcist, he's just this quirky, zany, over-the-top character. And I started realizing this movie is not going to be one of those that takes itself too serious. Now, don't get me wrong, it isn't completely bonkers. It does have some teeth to it. And the gore, man, it gets pretty gory. And there's some that literally had me yell out loud in the theater. It made me so excited. There's just a lot about this movie that I'm excited about, because whenever you go into a movie and you're expecting to not only not really love it, but to probably be bored out of your mind, and it just feel like you just don't really want to be there, and you end up walking out having an absolute blast, it kind of like adds that extra element to it. I think if you go into this movie with the right frame of mind and not expecting it to be too serious, it's not a movie that takes itself too serious. It's not, it's not The Exorcist. This is kind of a fresh take on it all and puts a fun spin on it. And it does have these serious elements of The Exorcist, but it's also got this kind of fun element that reminded me of Constantine. And so in a lot of ways, it's kind of like if you took those two movies and mashed them together, you would have the post-Exorcist. But there's a lot I'd like to say about it, but I don't want to spoil anything. I really want you guys to go in there and enjoy it like I did. But I promise you, as long as you don't go into this expecting anything super, super serious, I think you're going to have a great time with it. And I've heard some people making fun of Russell Crowe because of his accent or whatever. I don't get that. It seemed fine to me, but just in general, I thought he did a damn good job of performing this character because he's got this wit to him. He's like ferocious when he needs to be and kind of a badass, but then he's also kind of silly and pokes fun of the whole situation, but in a way that doesn't feel too over the top. Like, this movie walks this really nice fine line where it never gets too far over the top, but it does definitely take some chances. And I think if you're someone that is, Catholic, I could definitely see some Catholics maybe being bothered by it because it isn't necessarily poking fun at the church, but it's kind of making light of it all. Like I said, it has this graphic novel, comic book kind of feel about it, especially as you get towards the end. And so I think it's very fun in that way. It's not like making up things per se. But for someone like me that's not religious at all, I had a blast with it because it's telling this story and it's taken this demonic possession, Catholicism, all of this, and kind of putting it into this fun story. And it's based off of his writings. It's based off the real Pope's Exorcist, Gabriele Amorth. It's based off of his writings. And from what I know, they're pretty crazy because I remember listening back in the day on Coast to Coast, listening to him talk, and this is kind of what he said things were like. So I can't imagine the church could get too mad. I mean, this dude wrote this stuff. I'm sure it's been embellished quite a bit, for a movie, but still, he does talk about this stuff as being real and real over the top and all of that. But it does have some CGI, but I thought it was pretty well done. It isn't until the ending where there was a few things that I was like, man, I wish they'd kind of like just tone that back just a little bit, because sometimes CGI gets a little too cartoony looking. There's this face that they're making a lot in movies right now that maybe people dig it. I guess people must for them to keep doing it. But to me, it just looks hokey and cheesy and like instantly dates a movie. But for most of this movie, it's done practically with makeup and very subtle CGI. And it felt believable. And it actually creeped me out a few times. I was surprised just how creepy this movie actually gets. But as you can tell, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Definitely had a blast. And I think it's definitely worth getting out to a theater and getting some popcorn, because this is definitely that, popcorn type of horror movie. Get your popcorn and your candy and enjoy!
If the devil possessed the soul of the Pope's exorcist, who will defend you?
But that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, please do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that's the best way to keep track of this channel. And when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this every single week. And I also want to give a huge, massive, enormous thank you to the Ghost Pirate crew, to you guys over on Patreon, and to the channel members over here. You guys honestly are saving my life right now. It may seem like just a few bucks, but it honestly means the world to me. Financially, it actually helps, but it also mentally, it's just this constant feeling of knowing that there's people out there that believe enough in me to actually put some of their hard-earned money towards pushing forward what I'm trying to do. But anyway, if you want to find out how you can become a member on Patreon, there's a link down in the description. Or if you want to find out how you can become a channel member, there's a little button right down there that says join, but it's only there. You'll only see it if you're on a PC. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, horror can be fun. If you enjoyed this, click right here to see my review of Nefarious. And I'll see you guys next time.